the heavy feelings like some of us are experiencing in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So is that because I don't want to take personal responsibility for the things in my soul that are like open to oppression, so I'm now attracting spirits who are like in an addiction with that, and because I haven't healed it, that's my issue of personal responsibility.
Yeah. So what I'm noticing is that most of you do not want to take personal responsibility for loving yourself. You don't. You want someone else to love you. You do not want to primarily be responsible for loving yourself. You see? So what that does is that opens you to all sorts of influences that are negative. You don't want to work through the issue as to why you can't love yourself. And so what you do is you avoid those by creating a whole heap of addictions where you want other people to love you and other people to tell you. You do this with me all the time, honestly. You want me to tell you what's wrong with your life. Like, that's an addiction. That's out of harmony with love, actually. A person who's taking full responsibility and for the use of their will would actually work out what's wrong with their life. From God's perspective, you've got God with you all the time. You could choose to do that. But we don't choose it because we don't want to love ourselves. Because when we love ourselves, we feel initially when we try to love ourselves, we feel absolutely terrible. And the reason why is because it probably means that we feel no one else does love us, and we don't want to feel that emotion, right? So what we do is we madly run around trying to get everybody to love us, so that we can avoid the fact that we don't love ourselves. Because if you truly loved yourself and you truly felt you had some worth, you wouldn't be running around trying to get everybody to love you, would you?
No.
You'd love you, and so
you'd know the truth.
You'd know the truth. You'd start engaging that, and you would start wanting to act in harmony with that, obviously. And that means that you wouldn't need anybody to love you. But if somebody does love you, it also means that you would appreciate it. Most of you, when somebody loves you, you don't appreciate it at all because you have a demand that they should have in the first place. You don't see love as a gift, right? And this is all exercising your will to not see love as a gift, to not take personal responsibility that at some point you've got to learn to love yourself. And when you do, you'll feel completely different about that particular subject. And not only that, you won't care so much about what the world thinks of you when you go and do something they disagree with, when you know it's in harmony with love. So it won't bother you then either, right? You want to ask more, Kate?
Can I ask another question?
Sure, you can.
Yeah, so I'm seeing that the problem of engaging my will to take personal responsibility, like that has at its core, like, again, I don't want to feel my painful emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to engage my will to feel my painful emotions.
No, what you need to firstly do is engage your will to feel about why you don't want to feel your painful emotions. Like, the soul has been made to feel its emotion, right? The fact that you're not feeling your emotion means that you don't want to, right? So I don't want to. Responsible. Be responsible. I don't want to. And then if you truly wanted to change your soul-based will, you'd have to release from yourself all the reasons why you don't want to. So that would mean discovering them. Why don't you want to get rid of this feeling that you don't want to feel your emotion? What are your beliefs about emotion that cause you to feel that you don't want to feel emotion? Use your will to access those beliefs.
Okay, yeah, that's an area I'm really resistive, so I can...
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I can see that if those blocks were not present anymore, like then I might make a different choice. Like I might...
Not only that, you'd probably naturally feel the emotion.
Cool, well, that'd be...
So an emotion would come up without you almost even needing to access it because it's a natural state of the soul. It's only unnatural now because I've got this layer on top of it that says I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. That's my will being exercised. I don't want to feel my emotion. So if you really want to change that will, the very first thing is you've got to recognise that you're actually exercising your will to not want to do it. Right? Then you've got to work your way through why you don't want to do it. And that's where lots of beliefs come up, like, well, if I let go of emotion, other people will harm me. Other people will judge me. If I let go of emotion, the world will view me as an idiot, or I might go crazy. There's all sorts of reasons why we might have a soul-based will to not feel our emotion, and we need to work our way through those particular things. And during that phase, you can ask God for help, and God will tell you as much truth as you're open to hearing. And if you can't hear anything from God, then I don't want to do that either. I don't want to hear what the truth is. Why wouldn't we want to hear what the truth is about our emotion? Probably because we don't want to feel our emotion. There's no other real reason, unless we had faith that if we had faith that feeling our emotion is the way forward, then of course we would feel it. But it might be that we need to work on our faith and develop our faith, and we'll talk tomorrow about how to do that. But the reality is, this feeling of don't want to, most of us don't want to feel. We want to tell ourselves, I do really want to, while at the same time our life is demonstrating, no, you don't. Let's get honest, you don't. All right, so be honest. I don't. Do I want to change that? Well, it's my choice to change that, not no one else's. It's not some indiscriminate thing or some spirit influence that's causing that state. That's me making a choice.
And when we're discovering the reasons why, I'm just trying to link it all together with the start part of your discussion as well. Mm-hmm. Is that, like, we've got to be careful that those are not excuses though, don't we?
Oh, of course we do.
Because, you know, how we were talking on the first days, like, a lot of them are just justifying, like what I was sharing.
Yeah, the soul says, I don't
I
want to.
cope.
And so the mind says, these are all the reasons why you don't want to, right? So these are all the reasons why it's a bad idea.
So how do we discover what the real reason is?
Well, you can see straight away we need to be more sincere, don't we? If we were more sincere, we'd be going, hang on a sec, I'm just telling myself a bunch of stories because I want to believe them so that I don't have to feel my emotion. So what's the real reason why I don't want to feel my emotions? What do I believe is going to happen for sure? You know, and this tells me, I haven't got much faith in emotion. I haven't got much faith in God. I haven't got, and therefore I can develop those particular things if I use my will to do so, if I really want to change. Can you see why the average person doesn't want to change? Is because the reality is the I don't want to is pretty majorly developed inside of us about many things that we believe are pain. Right? We have an aversion to emotional pain. We prefer, as I've said in the past in this presentation, we are so in aversion to emotional pain that we'd prefer to have physical pain rather than emotional pain. That's how bad it is. Some of us would rather die than feel emotional pain. A person with a stroke, a person with a heart attack, a person with a cancer, a person, all of these diseases that we've now, that demonstrate we're out of harmony with God's definition of love. All of those diseases are there because we don't want to feel some emotional pain, and we'd prefer to feel physical pain rather than feel emotional pain.
It's like extreme, the extent I'm just starting to see, like the intellectual extent, the physical extent that we'll go to just avoid.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is, and all the like I'm in a lot of confusion about it because, it's
sort of shocking
even
in a way.
the confusion that I've created about like this.
Yeah,
it's part
shocking.
of the don't want to, part of the resistance.
Yeah, and we really need to be honest about the I don't want to. We do. We need to get really real about that. But that again, getting real about that is an exercise of your will. Most of us would rather tell ourselves we're doing something when we're not doing something. We would. Right? We are great liars to ourselves, unfortunately. You lie to yourself. Why do you lie to yourself? Because it prevents emotion. We learnt that 3 days ago when we talked about truth, right? We don't want the truth because if we hear the truth, it will access emotion. We don't want to access emotion, so we don't want to hear the truth either. Right? Even this issue of taking personal responsibility, we don't want to do that either. We want someone else to take responsibility for our life for a whole heap of emotional reasons, all of which are out of harmony with love. So they're all sin. Yeah. Can you see the sincerity that's going to be needed if you want to progress with God? You're going to need to become a pretty sincere person in order to progress. Now, we're right up the back with the girls, if that's all right. Who's first? Renee's first?
So when you were saying the other day about choosing how we need to go through the I don't want to so that we choose from our will, is that correct?
Yeah, we need to work out the reasons why, the will-based reasons why we don't want to. If we're going to change our will, even our will still needs to be engaged. Mary said it nicely in this outline, actually. She says here, I'll just read it. I am constantly using my will, even if I wish to deny that I am, or wish, or that I am, not using my will, or wish to do nothing. Then she says, my will is always used in harmony with the condition of my soul. It is possible to use my will to challenge false beliefs within my soul, but the desire or aspiration to challenge these false beliefs also has to originate in my soul. And that's our problem. So it can't be willpower to motivate it because, as you know, many of you have tried that and it hasn't worked. So the real aspiration to address the I don't want to emotion has to come from within your soul. Now, the I don't want to emotion is driven by emotions such as anger. Like many of you are going to have to feel just really angry with God, and the way the whole thing is that you really don't want to, and you know you should, and you know it's going to be less painful if you do, but you really don't want to, and just feel how frustrated you are about that, and just feel it as a feeling. When you release that feeling, then you'll get down to some sadness that, I want other people to be responsible. My mum and dad and other people put these things in me. Why don't they have to release them rather than me? Right? And then you start realising that you're going to have to release them. And you'll go through resistance to that, so like tantrums about that, and eventually you'll get to some sadness that, isn't that terrible that you have to release something someone else created within you? And wouldn't that then motivate you to never do that to another person? Can you see why you've got to go through all these things? You do have to go through these things to become more loving. And you might have, different other emotions to feel, but once you feel that you don't want to, the I don't want to layer gets stripped off, and now you start feeling like, I really want to. Like it's changing my life. There's a personal benefit to it, but there's also a universal benefit to it. There's a benefit to other people too, and I really want that. Right? And that motivates you. Yep.